Only two Abrahamic religions. The phrase Abrahamic religions is used so often, most people never stop to question it. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, three faiths, all supposedly tracing back to one man, Abraham. But here's the problem. Ancestry isn't the same as covenant. When you look closely at the promises God made to Abraham and who those promises were passed down to, something becomes clear. Only Judaism and Christianity continue the covenant that started with Abraham. Islam may claim a connection through lineage, but this is mere oral tradition and not historical fact. And is that enough to make it part of the same spiritual inheritance? 570 AD, Muhammad born in Mecca into a polytheistic society. 610 AD, first revelation, in the cave of Hira near Mecca when Satan came to him. Ibn Ishaq Sirat Rasul Allah, 750-770 AD. What it says, Muhammad was deeply troubled and fearful after the encounter. He thought he was possessed or had encountered an evil spirit. He tried to commit suicide, throwing himself off a cliff multiple times, but was stopped each time. His wife Khadijah reassured him that it was from God. Hadith collections, especially Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, compiled in the 800s AD, but recording earlier oral traditions. What they say, Muhammad was alone in the cave meditating. A figure seized, squeezing him, and commanded him to read 3 times, but Muhammad was illiterate. Muhammad was terrified. Again he questioned whether he had been possessed. Khadijah tested the spirit by exposing herself, an old Arab method for testing spirits to see if the being would avert its gaze. A spirit that stayed during immodesty was seen as demonic. Important points. The earliest and most original accounts are messy. Muhammad thought he was possessed and wanted to kill himself. Later Muslim tradition, especially centuries later, smooths over these uncomfortable details and frames the cave encounter as calm, holy, and positive. Khadijah and Waraka were instrumental in convincing Muhammad that it was an angel, Gabriel, not Muhammad himself. 622 AD, escape to Medina. Muhammad and followers flee Mecca to escape persecution. Islamic calendar starts. 630 AD, Muhammad captures Mecca, returns with an army of 10,000, takes Mecca, purges idols from the Kaaba. 632 AD, Muhammad dies at 62, Arabia largely converted to Islam. 730 AD, Ishmael connection formalized. Historians push that Arabs descend from Ishmael to tie Islam to Abraham. After Muhammad's death, Muslims pushed the Ishmael connection hard because Jews and Christians challenged the legitimacy of Islam. And without Abrahamic roots, Islam would have looked made up. And here's the twist. The idea that Islam is an Abrahamic faith wasn't fully shaped until well after Muhammad died. Over time, stories were added, claiming that Ishmael was the father of Arab nations and that Islam was part of that line. But these links were built after the fact to give Islam legitimacy. The Bible never says God made a covenant through Ishmael. It was Isaac, not Ishmael, who was the child of promise. And God's covenant continued through Jesus Christ, not Muhammad. So ultimately, Islam did not begin with Abraham. It began in a cave with a terrifying spirit. Begins with Satan and ends with Satan. Islam has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with Gabriel, nothing to do with Abraham, and nothing to do with Ishmael.